Alright, so, um, this is a continuation of my videos about what I want to see for the next Fallout game, specifically talking about everyone's favorite protective and offensive weapon, power armor. So, I made a little list so that this video will be a little bit more cohesive, and I shouldn't have to break this one up into quite so many parts, although this might be a long video. But, so some real issues that I have with power armor in this game. First, I really like how they changed it into being its own kind of basically tank, because I think it fits with the lore a lot better. But there's a lot of things that I would change about it. There's definitely a lot of stuff that I would change about it, especially like mods. I want there to be more mods. I think Fallout 4 did this thing where it made all of the armor move up linearly. So like T45 was worse in every way than T51, and T51 was worse in every way than T60, and it just kept going. Now, I think one thing that Fallout 76 actually did really well is they made it so that the armors did not move in a linear path. It was XO1 was, I'm just doing this off memory, so this might not be correct, but XO1 was better in energy, but worse in physical. And T51 was the best physical until I think Ultrasight and that was it, the T65, whatever that one that they added, the special ops power armor. But yeah, I like that. That was pretty cool. But some things that I really would change would be that I would make the balance be different so that it's not just you pick one suit for everything because it's the best in every regard. I want there to be like specialized suits, kind of like you have the excavator power armor, which you're going to wear if you want a lot of carry weight. And like T51 would be like the best in physical protection, so this would be the one you'd pick if you're going against like raiders or gunners. But if you were going against like the Institute, you'd pick like XO1 or some suit that was specialized with, that was more specialized in energy weapons. And I think that's just a cool idea to have, your power armor be more specialized rather than being generally the best power armor. First, I'd also really like that I have more variants. Obviously more variants are cooler. Add back in maybe like an old Enclave suit, maybe even the Western Brotherhood suit, not Western, the East Coast, the ones that are in Fallout Tactics, I believe. I've seen a few mods that add them to Fallout 4 and probably other Fallout games, but anyway, so the one thing that I really do want to change is power armor needs to be balanced a little bit more. Because the way it is now, even the worst power armor in the game, Raider power armor, is more protective than the best normal armor you could wear. And while I agree that's how it should be, I think the way power armor is implemented should be different. I don't think you should get a suit right off the gate. I think it should be something you work towards at least a little bit, and then I want power armor to be kind of more of something that's harder to keep up with, because the way it is in the early game, if you're just using T45, you can wear power armor basically non-stop as long as you're smart about cores. And yeah, that's kind of your limiting factor is fusion cores. And I have a mod right now that makes fusion cores a little bit more manageable. That's why I have 18, even though I'm kind of low level. But definitely, I think the best implementation of power armor was kind of the way it worked in Fallout 3, where you could get power armor early game, but you couldn't really use it early game. But the way I would definitely change that is I would make it so that power armor does still have durability, but I would make it so that the frame itself also has durability. Excuse me, dog meat. Now, the frame itself would not break, but it would have downsides. So, for example, if someone was shooting me right now and my arm were to break, the armor piece, my T-51 right arm would to break off, and then my arm kept getting hit, then the power armor frame itself would take damage. And then maybe once the power armor frame, quote unquote, broke or reached a certain threshold of damage, then what would happen is your frame would become damaged, and it would maybe increase weapon sway or make it so that you couldn't power attack. Maybe it would make it so you couldn't power attack if one arm was broken, and if both arms were broken, your weapon sway increased because it was like it was harder for the the suit to hold the arms steady because it was damaged. The systems inside were broken, so it was harder for it to function properly. I think that makes perfect sense. But with that being said, I would also make it so that maybe like if the legs break, then you get a movement speed penalty. So maybe there's like a 10% movement speed penalty for each broken leg. That way, if both your legs break on the frame, then you're moving at 20% speed. So it's kind of like being partially overcumbered. Or maybe if both legs break, it only moves at like the walk speed that it does whenever you're out of cores, like this. If you've ever tried to use power armor with no cores, you walk like this because there's no power. Maybe that's what would happen if, maybe not that, because that's a little too drastic. But it would be something that you'd have to keep repaired. So it would be another reason to always make sure that your armor is repaired. Because if your armor is repaired, say the armor would be cheaper to repair. So T-51 armor in this game is repaired primarily with just steel. The chest piece requires some ceramic and some aluminum, I'm pretty sure. But it is primarily repaired with steel, but the frame would be repaired with much more expensive material. So you'd need maybe some steel, maybe some screws, some gears, maybe these things that would be added called like hydraulic parts. That would be kind of cool. You'd have to either craft hydraulic parts or steal them from other power armor frames. I think that'd be an interesting idea. But I would just make it so that they're much more difficult to repair. That way you'd be incentivized to make sure that your power armor frame itself was never damaged by trying to make sure that your armor pieces never broke. Shotgun's got a lot of kick. So I kind of like that idea. It also kind of makes power armor a little bit more balanced. That way it's not maybe something you'd want to wear all the time because, say, maybe you were like, oh, well, I don't have any hydraulic parts at home, so I don't want to bring out my power armor as much because chances are if it gets damaged, I won't be able to repair it. Kind of makes sense. Hydraulic parts would be something that would be really difficult to craft or only found on other power armor. So what you would have to do is scavenge one set of power armor, so you know how eventually you have your full set that you want, and then you come across another set, you're just like, it's only T-45, or it's it's missing this, that, so you're like, I don't want it. Then you would scavenge that frame, break down the frame, and that would give you some hydraulic parts, maybe like 5 or 6, depending. It would depend on how much each piece requires to be repaired. But I think that's an interesting idea to help balance out power armor frames. That way you can't. It also kind of fixes the problem of everyone having like 10 power armor frames. Because I know definitely people like me, they hoard power armor frames. If you're anything like me playing this game, you find one power armor frame and you're like, oh, cool, cool, cool. I want more. I would definitely keep that. I like the power armor kind of stops fall damage. It is obviously weird or breaking because it doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of fun. It's fun to be able to just say, yeah, well, fall damage, not today. One thing that I do think people kind of would like to add to this game. Oh, wait. Yeah, let's keep on durability for a little bit. I spoke about how I liked the... I guess we're kind of done with durability. Oh, the chest piece. Yes, if the chest piece breaks, on your power armor frame, which obviously would be extremely rare because as someone that plays with power armor pretty often in Fallout 4, your chest piece almost never breaks. Your legs will always break first, usually because you get hit by a grenade or a mine or something like that. Then your arms and your head will usually be last. But your chest piece will almost never break just because it has so much health. But say your chest piece breaks and then your power armor frame below that breaks, it would make it so that you maybe are constantly taking some low levels of radiation because the cores and like the armor itself is leaking radiation, or maybe it would make it so that the core drains faster, so that you definitely wouldn't want to have that because then you're going to go through cores way quicker because it's going to drain like 20% faster. Interesting. Makes sense. It's something that's broken might draw more power. And then obviously power armor doesn't have a head as part of the frame. If you ever look at power armor, you take off your helmet and your chest piece. It's just, the chest piece, and there's nothing that extends to the head, so your head wouldn't break. Or there wouldn't be a head part of the power armor itself. So, definitely cool. I kind of like that, but, that's just a specific thing for me. I'm going to take my little pencil here and scratch off my little list of talking points. So scratch out durability and frame. Now, one thing that I do really dislike about power armor in the newer Fallout games, ever since they made it a giant tank, is melee. Melee in power armor, I guess, kind of makes sense to some point. I'm pretty sure what they did is they made it, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure this is correct. They made it so that in power armor, everything swings at a medium speed. So if it usually has a slow speed, it swings medium because the power armor makes it much easier to swing. Makes sense, but it also makes it so that fast things are medium too because the power armor is too cumbersome to make it swing really fast. And yes, I guess that does kind of make sense, but at the same time is that it makes sense, I don't like that. I don't know. I just don't like that much. But the main problem isn't that I have with the fact that it changes the swing speeds. The main problem that I have is that if you're ever playing Fallout 3 or New Vegas, you can still use unarmed weapons with power armor, but not in Fallout 4. Now, it makes sense because the hands themselves are not your hands. They're big hands, so brass knuckles and stuff like that wouldn't fit in the fingers of power armor. But I think that could be remedied by adding mods. So the way ARM mods work right now in Fallout 4, and I'm pretty sure 76, although I could be wrong about that. My experience with 76 is much less than almost every other Fallout game. But there are 3 mods. You have the Tesla Fists, which make it so that you do some shock damage, some energy damage with each punch. The Rusty Fists, which add a little bleed. And then the Optimized Fists, which make it so the power armor attacks use less AP. Now, those aren't bad mods, but I think it would be really cool if instead of having something like that, where you're playing and you have a mod on your power fists, I think it would be cool if there was something on the arm, like on the forearm of my right hand, that when I pulled out my fists, it would like come out, like there was a power fist attachment on my arm, so that whenever I pulled out my fists, it would like, you'd like move your arm, and instead of using your normal fists, there would be a modified power fist connected to your arm, so that when you hit people, it would be like you're using a power fist, but like a power armor power fist, basically. Or like something like that. Or like maybe power armor brass knuckles. I think that would be a cool idea. You add that to your power armor as like its own mod slot, the unarmed part of your power armor. I think that'd be a really cool idea. And you could do stuff like, instead of the Tesla fists just making your fist magically do damage, it would change how it looks. You'd have like a Tesla coil, and then when you pulled out your fists, there would be like wire wrapped around your fingers, and there would like be a crackle of electricity. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then the rusty things would add like welded on screws or bolts to your knuckles. That way you punched and they were rusty screws and bolts. So when you punched, it would make sense that they'd cause bleed, because then you'd hit them and the screw or bolt would cause bleeding and cutting, and obviously they'd be rusty, so tetanus, but obviously that doesn't make any sense for gameplay mechanic. But anyway, I think that'd be a cool idea to have its own power armor, like arms that would have their own mods that you add to the hands themselves or to the forearms of the thing themselves to be yeah, I think you guys get it. Power armor would have their own unarmed attachments mod that you could add, so that you could be still an unarmed power armor player instead of just using your bare power armor fists. So that's that. Now mods for the rest of the armor I really wanted to talk about. Legs, I want there to be cool, like, I think it'd be really interesting if they had a power armor suit that you could use with mods that would recharge the energy. So for example, there's a mod that I use called Sane Fusion Core Drain. And this mod makes it so that when you are walking like this, you do not use Fusion Core energy. When you're sprinting, or power attacking, or jetpacking, or using VATS, or anything like that, then you use Fusion Core energy. But I think it'd be cool if you would put a mod on each leg called like recharge servos, and then you'd put a mod on the torso that made it so that maybe when you're walking like this, you don't use energy, but then sprinting and stuff like that drain even more. So that it would kind of incentivize you to be more slow playing. You don't want to sprint when you're in power armor. You want to be more, more methodical about how you do it. I think that's an interesting idea. To have it so that you, to have it so that you could basically have, again, rechargeable power armor set. I think that's an interesting concept. Of course, it could be definitely implemented way differently than what I'm saying, but maybe that's like its own legendary thing where you find a power armor suit that is someone themselves modded to be recharging, or maybe a power armor suit that doesn't use fusion cores, and then that's what it does. It has like a big battery pack on the back, so that as you walk, it recharges, but then as you sprint, it drains, but it would drain really quick and recharge kind of slow. That way you can still sprint and everything, but it'd be an interesting way to save fusion cores, and that would be a really cool thing to do if you planned on using a weapon like the Gatling gun. Because obviously if you use a Gatling gun, you're using fusion cores, and if you're using power armor, you're using fusion cores, so you might not want to use both at the same time. But obviously if the next game would have strength restrictions, like I want it to, obviously bring back the stuff that, like, you can't be a 1 strength character using a minigun, because I think that makes sense. That a 1 strength character could not use a minigun. You just get in power armor, then boom, you can use whatever gun you want, as far as strength requirements go. But yeah, so leg augments, I think that'd be kind of cool. I think they might want to add like little jump jets, maybe, because the game has not backpacks. That'd be another cool mod to have, like power armor backpacks that you could add to make it so that you can carry more. But I didn't mean to say backpacks, I meant to say jetpacks. But you'd have like these little jets maybe on like the calf area of your power armor where you do this, and it would let you do like a little tiny double jump, like a little of energy, like a blast of jetpack rockets just on your legs, and you could do that to like boom, and that would give you like a little double jump. And then if you had the normal jetpack too, then you'd get even higher, and that'd be kind of cool. Arm upgrades, I already talked about how I want to do more melee stuff. Chest upgrades, mainly just the ability to recharge, or the battery pack. The backpack space thing would be kind of cool. Maybe there would be, like, you could have the Tesla coils that you can put on robots that make it so that they damage enemies near you. That'd be kind of cool to be able to have on power armor, and it would actually change how it looks. So that, you know, it like whenever you enter combat, it would like electrify, and then anything that got near you would take electric damage, like slowly. But helmet mods, I really want, and I think the Fallout community itself also wants this, because I see a lot of mods that let power armor talk to you now. I actually have one right now, I can show you. And there's a lot of mods like this, where you get in and out of your power armor, and it'll talk to you, and it'll say something when it gets damaged, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a cool concept. You know, your power armor talks, and then as you get damaged, it'll tell you that it's damaged. But you could extend that more and be like, oh well, it'll talk to you when your fusion core gets low, or it'll talk to you when enemies come by, and you could change the voice. You know, there'd be like a stealthy voice that would maybe more specifically focus on sneaking, so you'd sneak in power armor and it would say enemies detected nearby, you've been spotted, they know where you are, they're shooting at you, that kind of stuff. Kind of like if you play Apex, how Wraith will whisper to you. But and I'm gonna get people saying, oh, that's not lore friendly. Well, I think it is, because there have been armor sets in Fallout that speak before. Fallout New Vegas had the stealthy armor set, the Stealth Suit Mark II, which talked constantly, and there's a power armor set in Fallout 3, I believe it's called the Medic power armor, that also talks to you. So it definitely makes sense. There's a precedence in Fallout for it. There's multiple examples of how there are armor sets that actually talk in Fallout. I think that makes sense to me perfectly. And you could obviously, if you don't like it, you can make it so that you just keep it silent. And they wouldn't provide, like, they might provide their own, like, yeah, it'll remind you that you're being damaged, and it'll remind you that your core is going to drain soon, and it'll remind you that this, that, and the other thing, but, you know, it's not necessary. I think it's just something cool to add, maybe as, like, you know, you have your own little Jarvis in your power armor. I think that's kind of cool. And that would just be like a little chip that you add in and out of the power armor head, so that you could get even maybe unique ones, so that maybe you could start off with one that you get damaged and it's like, it crackles and its voice is messed up, but it tries to talk to you and it gets stuff wrong or something like that. But then you could find, like, you do a quest and for an AI, and then you download that AI into a chip, and then that AI becomes part of your power armor. I think that's a pretty cool concept. Kind of like Jarvis or Friday, or even like Cortana in Master Chief in the Halo franchise, where, you know, you just plug it in and you get that kind of information. I think that's kind of cool. And there might even be like unique dialogue with some of them in some missions. You know, like if you get one from a really high-tech area, and then you go to do something with the Brotherhood, they might comment and be like, "This is the most technologically advanced faction I've seen in the Wasteland." Anyway, so that's something I really thought that people would like, is the mods, and then the fact that I just see so many voices. I've seen some with the Titan voices from Titanfall, Scorch, and another one. I saw one that was it changed like the sound of power armor and added a bunch of different voices. That's the one that I'm using. I forget what it's called. There's one that I found that is the voice of the submarine from Subnautica. That one was pretty cool because it's got that really deep, booming voice. I think that's really interesting. I don't know. I think that's just kind of a cool concept that they could add. You know, you could have completely silent, or just have like a power armor that talks way too much, like there is in Fallout New Vegas when you're using. Sorry, I didn't mean to have that loud. Like there is in Fallout New Vegas when it's talking, like the stealth suit talks to you way too much, and you almost want it to shut up. But, you know, some people might like that. They might like the armor that talks to them all the time. Maybe you want to have no companion run, so you have that so that you're not just doing nothing but listening to yourself shooting something. Anyway, the way that I want power armor to be acquired in the next Fallout game is I want it to be found from a raider settlement or a raider faction. Maybe one of the first things you have to do in the next Fallout game is help out somebody by going to rescue someone from raiders. And what you would do is you'd go rescue them from the raiders, and next to them would be a suit of power armor that would be, the frame itself would be damaged. Maybe one of the legs is damaged, one of the arms is damaged, and the chest piece is damaged. That way, you're moving 10% slower, you can't power attack, and the cores will drain faster, and it's covered in Raider power armor. It's not T45. That way, T45 is actually a step up. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. I think that would be much better implemented, because the way it works right now in Fallout 4 is you get your power armor, but Raider power armor exists and has no purpose because the first suit you will ever get will be better than Raider power armor. So I think that's cool. You get your Raider power armor, and then it would also introduce you to the system of, wow, I didn't even know that was there. It would introduce you to the system of your power armor frame can be damaged, and that way you can't use the power armor. Well, you can use the power armor early game, but it would be at a big detriment because you can't power attack, you'd move slower, and your cores would drain faster. So it would incentivize you to wait a little bit and get the hydraulic parts or whatever you would need to repair the frame, and then you could use the power armor as well. I think that'd be a cool concept. So that's definitely how I'd want that implemented. You get a suit that's very damaged in the frame, but the armor is fine. But it would just be Raider power armor, so really low durability, but still very protective early game. And then you'd use that to get out, because maybe after you got in and you saved the person, and then everybody came back and they were like, whoa, 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 what are you doing here? And then you'd have to fight your way out while still protecting that person, but that would be much easier now that you have power armor. Maybe there would be another gun there, something like, I don't really want to say a minigun, but something big that you could use. Maybe there's like a street sign that you pull out and turn into a giant rebar club that you could use. I don't know, something like that. Maybe there would even be a few options. Like there would be the big rebar club that you could rip out of the ground and use. Or it would be, there's like a rocket launcher that you could use and it only has a few shots, of course. That kind of stuff. But you have to be careful with the rocket launcher to not blow yourself or the person you're trying to protect. But anyway, so that's the acquisition. I really think that would be an interesting thing to change. And one final thing, I want power armor to feel more powerful. Now, if you look at power armor, it's very obvious, standing next to somebody, that it is an imposing thing. Look how much bigger I am than Nick. Now, Nick is normally not small, but I am more than a head taller than him right now. And I think that's very interesting and very intimidating. But the way I want it to work is, I want, like, if you had power armor, right, and you did, you know how this game has, like, the special animations sometimes where if you melee somebody that's close to death, you'll do the special animation where you hit them with the butt of your rifle, and then they'll die, like, instantly, even if the melee attack wouldn't have normally killed them. I want them to have, like, power armor specific things, where you, like, punch someone's face, and their head explodes, like you hit them, like you shot them with a shotgun. Like their head blows up like a watermelon. Or like you do it near a wall and you'll just throw their head against the wall and they'll break. Like they'll just break their spine. I want there to be like specific power armor animations that make power armor feel like I'm a superhuman and you can't do nothing to me if you're just a normal person, I like that idea of power armor is just so powerful. Because now this would only work with certain things. They would only work with humanoids, maybe feral ghouls. Like feral ghouls, you could even like have an animation where you like grab their arm and just rip off an arm, or something like that. Obviously it's a little more gruesome than Fallout usually goes with, but you can shoot off their arms and that kind of stuff. Feral ghouls' limbs fall off pretty regularly. Yeah, it's definitely not a PG game, as you can see how much blood's coming out, although I might have a blood mod, now that I'd say that. It's blinking over there. Anyway, so that's something I really kind of want the game to add, is more animations for power armor, just to make power armor feel more of its own like big, heavy, strong thing rather than just like a suit that you put on. Yeah, of course it does definitely not feel like a suit anymore with the way that they made it look and something the way you get in it. But yeah, I do kind of want that to be a thing. I think that's really everything I wanted to talk about. I really like the way power armor is implemented in this game, but those are just some things that I think they could change to make power armor even better than it is now. Oh yay, a non-textured enemy. How nice. Yep, so that's really all I wanted to say. Is I wanted to talk about all that kind of stuff, what I would change for power armor. I like the get in and out animation. I kind of almost like and dislike the idea of there being like more lengthy repair animations. Like you see yourself like welding the armor, and I kind of like that idea on paper. But then I think about it and it's like I'm gonna despise that when I'm on like my 40th, 50th hour of this game playing with power armor, where every time I want to repair it, I have to watch my character weld the armor. So I don't know. I think that's a cool idea for immersion's sake. But then if you're just trying to like really quickly repair your power armor that we can get back on the road and continue doing missions, it would be extremely annoying. So I could see both sides of that argument. But with that being said, if anyone was wondering and they saw the differences in stats from a power armor, I have a mod that changes the balance of the game to make it the balance of power armor to make it more like 76. And for the few people that I'll probably get commenting, what was that reload animation you just had? I have a mod for animations regarding all laser weapons that change the reload and shooting animations. Pretty cool. I think it's literally just called laser gun, laser rifle, animation, something like that. It's a really basic name. But yeah, that's it. That's really all I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys can comment down below and tell me if you guys agree or disagree, or what you would change about power armor, what parts of this video you liked and disliked, and what you'd like to see. If you think maybe that the voices would be dumb and immersion breaking, well then, tell me about it. If you think maybe that's a cool idea and you like that it would be something you could change or turn on and off, something you wouldn't mind, maybe something you guys had the idea for, like what you'd like to see they change about power armor. Mods they could add to make power armor this or that or the other thing. Maybe you'd like to see power armor go back to the way it used to be, where it was just an armor set you put on. So if that's what you guys want, I want to hear about it in the comments, because I love hearing about what you guys think and all that kind of stuff. It's really nice to have the Fallout community still be active even after